Brownie Batter Overnight Oats helped me lose 150 pounds. And here's how you make them. So here's everything you're gonna need. Big bag of oats. You don't actually need this many oats. Non-fat Greek yogurt, cashew milk, or almond milk, or really any type of preferred plant-based milk. It doesn't even have to be plant-based. I just like this because it has lower calories. Our sweeteners and flavorings, non-sugar added, maple syrup, vanilla extract, salt, cocoa powder, and lastly, any type of chocolate protein powder. It could be salted caramel Mars, it could be a brownie protein powder, it could literally just be a chocolate protein powder. For best results, I would say to use a brownie protein powder. However, if you have access to this is the greatest protein powder I have personally ever tried. Last couple other things you're gonna need. So here's all the main ingredients. Optional, this is easily to be substitution. So raspberries and bananas. I really like this pairing because it goes really well with actual brownies. If you go to a restaurant and you order a brownie, especially like an upper echelon one, it will always pretty much come with raspberries. It's a really good pairing. And bananas, well, because of color and it tastes good. That's pretty much it. And then lastly, a couple other optional things you can do would be granola for topping and crunch, and then a non-sugar added caramel sauce or chocolate sauce. This is gonna go well with the protein powder that we're using, so that's why we're using it. And then last thing would be mason jars. Now, you don't have to use mason jars. However, for plating, reusability, and also looks, cost, there's a lot of reasons to use mason jars. They're cheap. You can reuse them. I'm sure you could probably even find plastic mason jars if you want. We don't have to. So what it says in the book, we're gonna times it by 5, and then you're gonna tear it. If you don't know how to tear a scale, you're gonna turn the scale on, put whatever object you want, and then turn it on and off again. This will be negative, so right now it says 0. Okay, so this we don't need till later. We're gonna start with our oats. 6 times 5, 300 grams of oats. Now with this recipe in particular, you do not have to do all the dry and do all the wet. I find it much easier to do it in the way I'm about to show. Start with the oats. And then we're gonna go to the Greek yogurt. Plop this in here, and we're gonna do the cashew milk. So a half cup of cashew milk is about 100 to 120 grams. So I would start less and then add more as needed. So 100 times 5 is about 500, so I'm gonna do about 400. Okay, boom, there's that. Now we're gonna do non-sugar added maple syrup. Calls for about a tablespoon, that's 15 grams. 15 times 5 is about, call it about 75 grams. I'm bad at math. Good enough. Salt, eyeball this. I'd say about 3 grams or 1 gram for every serving. I know this looks like a lot of salt, but salt makes it taste better. Vanilla, about 1 gram per serving. There we go. Cocoa powder. You could add less or more, depending on how rich you want this to taste like. You could also add espresso powder, but I don't like the taste of coffee. But you're not necessarily to taste the coffee, it will enhance the flavor of the cocoa powder. That's just a good tip. So you're gonna need about, 100 grams of this. Okay, there's that. And then lastly, we're gonna go with the protein powder. So it says 1 scoop in the book. 1 scoop is typically about 20 to 30 grams of protein powder. So if you use a medium, that's about 25. So 25 times 5 is like 120 grams. So I'm not even gonna use the scoop because that'll take forever. Boom. 125 on the money. Now this goes away. Now you have this big bowl of stuff. All you're gonna do is mix. So mix this until thoroughly combined, and then you'll see if you need to add more or less liquid. You should, I mean, the way I did this should work out perfectly. And also, because this is overnight oats, you don't actually have to wait overnight to do this per se, but typically you would make this, meal prep this, and because it's the oats, it's going to become thicker overnight. Boom. So that's perfect. All that's left to do is chop up the banana. So that's what we're gonna do. Here's a banana. We're gonna use both bananas. So then, here's the method to my madness. Cookie scoop. Take it, scoop it, flop it. Do about 2 scoops for each jar. And now, you could add the raspberries, or you could add the bananas. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. I'm just gonna evenly disperse this. You could also, ideally, weigh out the fruit. However, I've done this a bunch of times. It's pretty much half a cup of bananas, which would be about 60 grams or so. Okay, this one, no banana. Sucks to be that. Now, we're gonna go back with the scoop. We're gonna do a hefty scoop. Now we're gonna go in with the raspberries. And evenly disperse that in between the 4 containers. Now, what you're gonna do from here is basically bang this down. And then we add the little bit remaining. Last thing from here. We're gonna bang this down again. Then you have room to optionally add granola. Depends on your macros and preferences. Boom. And then lastly, you can add chocolate sauce or caramel sauce, or no sauce. Kind of depends on what you like. Boom. And we're gonna stick a lid on these bad boys. So the macros for this, off the top of my head, is around 500 calories, 50 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs, or 60 grams of carbs, depending on inclusion of the fruit or not. The macros will be listed below.
These will last in the fridge for up to 10 days.
So you can meal prep this way in advance, and other than that, thanks for watching. Do some algorithm stuff, like maybe share this with someone, maybe you like me. If not, that's okay. Now I made you feel guilty.